Hello everyone and welcome to my review for the film It Comes at Night. This movie stars Joel Edgerton and was produced by A24. So for those of you not familiar kind of with the background behind this movie, when this movie first came out in 2017, it was kind of open to a lot of divisive reviews. A lot of people expected this movie to be one way, kind of based on the trailers and also somewhat the title, and it turned out to be something totally else. A lot of people I think went into this movie thinking it would be a monster movie, and that couldn't be more far from the truth. This is not a monster movie at all. And also the trailers were very misleading, and overall It Comes at Night was, critically very well accepted. Audiences did not respond very well to this movie, and it was actually a really big box office flop. But I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. To be fair now, I knew that this was a divisive movie, and I knew this was also not a monster movie, so I can kind of understand kind of the frustration someone might feel when they first see this movie with a certain set of expectations in mind. But since it had been quite a long time since the movie had released, I kind of had this fresh mind, and I knew that I can really expect something different from this film. And I gotta say, this was a treat of a movie because I wouldn't necessarily even call this a horror film. I think a lot of people also went in expecting a horror movie, and it is scary, but for very different reasons than what your natural or orthodox kind of horror movie would kind of go for. First of all, this is set in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's more of a drama around a family, and actually two families, and kind of their very, very unstable interpersonal relationships that kind of develop as a result of this post-apocalyptic era. And I could go into spoilers about this film, but I'm not gonna do that. I want you guys to hopefully enjoy the movie without having had something spoiled. So I'm gonna keep this review spoiler-free. But I think what I love about this movie, one of the first things, of course, is on just a technical level, the atmospherics of this movie are unbelievably very well done. Honestly, this doesn't really, surprise me. I think A24 puts money to work that is excellent in terms of craftsmanship, and this movie is no different. The director, his name escapes me right now, but he's done such a great job at creating a very technically excellent film. So much of this movie has honestly beautiful, lush cinematography that is very rare to see nowadays, especially in horror films, or especially in this kind of post-apocalyptic genre film, since this isn't necessarily a horror film. So on a technical level alone, this movie is outstanding. Now, of course, we come to the actors in this movie. I was about to say Michael Shannon, Joel Edgerton. I mean, this guy is a powerhouse actor. I've seen him do things before, and he still, continues to astound me. First of all, talk about the guy's versatility. He, can transform from role to role, and he's done an excellent job in this film as well. And he's honestly supported by a cast of honestly amazing, great supporting actors as well. Like, everyone in this cast does a really, really phenomenal job in the film. So that's kind of just the technical scale. Now I really want to hone in on the content of this film, because I think that is what most of my review kind of lies in. This is really a movie that kind of concerns two very different fields. I'd say those fields are psychology and philosophy, and it specifically looks at the psychology and philosophy behind one of our most instinctual emotions, and that is fear. Honestly, we could talk a lot about interpretations for this movie, and I'm not going to get into that in this review. But as for my interpretation of what I got out of this movie is completely about the emotion of fear. And because they kind of go for that subject, the movie automatically becomes, scary. At least there is a ton of tension in this movie. And the director and the writers have done an excellent job of building tension in this film. It is a slow burn movie. This isn't one of your rapid, fast kind of movies. This takes a very slow burn approach to tension, but the payoff is incredible. Trust me, this movie is worth your time. And as I said earlier, the themes that are explored in this movie, I think ultimately all of them come back to that central theme of fear. And the way they explore it, kind of not only the somewhat, complexities of fear, but also some of the more simplistic natures of it as well. They really captured that dichotomy extremely well in this film. As I said earlier, in terms of storytelling and narrative-wise, it is a slow film, and it often takes a very allegorical approach. There's a lot of symbolism, and honestly, I realize that not all audience members are going to love that, but for me personally, I really enjoyed the take that they took for this film, and really it works, I think, almost all the way through. This movie is extremely effective, and the way that it explores fear is very complex, narratively complex as well, but also complex where you're able to have this very all encompassing film that looks at many different facets of that emotion, and I really appreciated that. This is a very ambitious film, and honestly, it delivered on most of its, intentions. And kind of it's what it was trying to go for, and I think it did a really good job of giving this all-encompassing, exploration of the emotion of fear, and doing it in a way that is really, tense and scary sometimes. There's a lot about, human nature in this film that honestly could be discussed for a long time, but I think overall they did a really good job of this movie, whether it be on a technical scale, narrative scale, acting, overall amazing. I'm going to give this one an A.